You guys ready to talk about product? Yes, okay. So, good morning, everyone. You had a good breakfast, right? Okay, so let's get into it here. We're going to talk about two rock stars today, two rock star products. So we're going to talk about RediBeets and Peak Endurance. Who here has not tried RediBeets or Peak Endurance? Is there anybody here who has not tried it yet? So you guys are experts, right? You guys know it, you know what it tastes like, you know what it's like to consume the product. That's good. And if you've kind of looked around in the news lately, if you've been reading kind of some of the studies out there like I do and kind of geek out on that kind of thing, there's a lot to talk about, okay? Nitrates are really big, and we've been talking about dietary nitrates from Beets for the last 4 years. I mean, it's exciting. There's a lot of new information out there. So let's dive in. Let's start talking about Beets. Okay, let's talk about RediBeets. So, RediBeets, 2 ingredients. That's all there is in the product. We have beet juice powder, okay, and we have silicon dioxide. That's it. The silicon dioxide in the product is at 1.7% of the formula. That's just to make sure that that powder stays free flowing. The rest of it is just a juice powder. Okay, why is that important? Well, if you look out and you look at some of the beet products out on the market, there's a lot of them out there. And they're all kinds of things that they add to these products to make them taste a little better, to make them a little cheaper. So one of the things you'll see, there's this really popular one out there, and they think they're super, but they're really not. And, oh, did I say that? Okay. So what they do, these products, is they'll use a little bit of beet juice powder and they'll use some whole beet powder into the product. Okay, so essentially what they're doing is diluting it down with a very inexpensive beet product, right? So they're drying that beet into a powder, they're grinding it up, and that's it. They're not juicing the product itself. In addition to that, they try to make it taste a little better. So they add stevia to it. They also add a little bit of flavor. It can be cherry flavor, what have you. Then they also add ascorbic acid. They add a little bit of vitamin C. Honestly, there's not a lot of natural vitamin C in beets itself, naturally. But if you look at some of these products, they have like 50% of your RDI of vitamin C. Really, it doesn't naturally exist in beets. What's really scary is some other products out there, it seems that they're supplementing with sodium nitrate. Sodium nitrate is a synthetic nitrate. And the problem with that is sodium nitrate can actually be converted in our bodies to what's called nitrosamines. Does anybody know what a nitrosamine is? It is a scary little compound that can do some really bad things to our health. Anybody heard of nitrites and hot dogs and cured meats? That's what we're talking about. These sodium nitrates can be converted to nitrites that are then converted to nitrosamines, and that's what we have to look out for. So basically, there's a lot of companies doing whatever they can to provide a product that is high in nitrate, even if that's at the expense of the consumer. And that's just not what we do, and you guys know that. Let's look deeper. Let's look further inside the product, okay? Outside of the vitamins, outside of the minerals that we know, these are all kinds of phytonutrients found in beets, okay? We've talked about nitrates. There's some others in here, phenolics, flavonoids. There's some things in here I can't even pronounce. Vulgarzanthins, that was totally new to me. I had never heard of that phytonutrient before, but these are extremely important in the utilization of nitrates. To prevent a nitrate from becoming a nitrosamine, it has to be accompanied by these phytonutrients. Mother Nature knew what it was doing, okay? When these plants, they're providing these phytonutrients, it prevents the nitrates from turning into those nitrosamines. You need it to be accompanied by the plant and the nutrients associated with it. So we're really proud to have just beet juice powder in our product and not be supplementing with anything else. Now, over the last 4 years, you've heard me talk a lot about nitrates and what they do. And the basic understanding is nitrates convert to nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is a vasodilator. So, if we look at my blood vessels are about this big, okay? I'm a big guy, I've got big blood vessels. But if you want them to get bigger, you're gonna vasodilate. Vasodilation takes a blood vessel, widens it, relaxes it, okay? You get more blood flow, more nutrients without increasing blood pressure. This is something we want. This is a good thing. We're delivering nutrients. We're delivering oxygen to the places it needs to go. This is the most basic part of what nitric oxide can do. But let's step back. Let's talk about how do we get nitric oxide. This is the most important part, coming from nitrates. So this is where we're gonna geek out a little bit. We're gonna get really kind of sciencey a little bit here, okay? So we're gonna drink our RediBeets, right? We drink our RediBeets down, we consume that. It goes into the stomach. In the stomach, we concentrate those nitrates from beets. And then our body is so smart. What it does is it takes those nitrates, pumps them back up through the salivary glands to the back of our tongue. Well, why would it do that? Well, we've got really good bacteria on the back of our tongue that will actually convert those nitrates into nitrites. We'll swallow those nitrates down into our stomach, and our stomach acid will convert those nitrites into nitric oxide, because it's accompanied by all those phytonutrients to protect it. Then, if it's not all converted to nitric oxide, it'll actually go into the bloodstream, go to the cells, and the cells will actually convert those nitrites into nitric oxide and be utilized there. So it's this crazy bypass system, but we make it work, and our bodies get the job done and get the nutrients that we need. So one of the things that we've done in the last 4 years, we've talked a lot about athletes and the benefits of beets in athletes. And we've talked a lot about cardiovascular health and athletes. But even more exciting is brain health. We should all be concerned about our brain. I don't care if you're 20, if you're 60, if you're 80 or 100, you're concerned about your brain health because we all want to have that connection, right? It's one of the most important parts of being a human being, okay? So I found this study and I'm like, oh, this is exciting. This is great. So I want you to look. I want you to kind of hide this image. Try not to look at it too much, okay? I don't want you to be mesmerized by it. But neuroplasticity, okay? This is that neural structure in the brain that we talk about with children a lot. Children are really good at learning new things. They're good at learning to play the piano, right? They're good at building new neural structures. New complexities. And it was always thought that it could only occur in children. But what we find in these studies is actually in the aging brain can actually do this as well, provided the right nutrients and the right stimuli. So in this study, they took a group of people aged 65, and they said, we want you to do two things. Every day you have to drink beet juice, every day. And 3 times a week, you've got to walk for 50 minutes. That's it. The placebo group, they drank a beet juice that had no nitrates in it, and they did not walk, okay? Then they took brain scans before and after. And now I want you to look at these photos. So the top left and the bottom left. The top left is the group that consumed the beet juice and walked. The bottom group is the placebo group. You can see their brain activity and networking is about the same. There's really no difference between the two. After the study, the placebo group, you can see that those networks are actually less active. There's less of it going on. In the beet juice group, it exploded with activity and new networking. This is simulating the effects of a young brain's ability to create those new networks, to neuroplasticity. This is exciting. This is like, if your jaw doesn't drop when you look at these photos, you're not paying enough attention right now. That's how exciting this is, honestly, okay? And I don't see enough jaws opened right now, okay? I'm disappointed, all right? This is exciting stuff, okay? We should all be concerned about our brain health. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you're 20 or you're 100, you need to know about this. The next thing that I want to talk about is the proof. Because we take supplements sometimes and we don't maybe feel the difference or we don't see the difference. So it's hard to know that something's actually working in the body. So I like to take the AIM staff and I like to use them as guinea pigs. You guys have heard me talk about making the staff taste herbal fiber blend. You've heard, I subject them to some really evil things sometimes, okay? And You guys remember Frank, right? Frank who was just up here? Well, Frank took part in a study, because he's part of the AIM staff. He's subject to this guinea pig stuff. We said, Frank and a lot of other staff, we're going to take thermal images of your hand, okay? And then we're going to give you 4 teaspoons of RediBeets. And then 2 hours later, we're going to take another thermal image of your hand. And what this is going to see, we're going to see if we can see increased blood flow to your fingertips. Because that's that vasodilation, right? Increased blood flow. Well, something's wrong with Frank in this photo because essentially he has no blood flow to his fingertips. His fingertips might actually be dead in this photo. I can't. Don't touch Frank's hands when you guys go outside. Be cautious of him. It's scary. We gave him 4 teaspoons of beets. Look at his hands. Look at how much improvement. Let's go back and look at that original one, okay? So those purples, that is very, very cold, okay? Now if we go, look, now he's got a little bit more blood flow. Even his fingertips are a little bit more blood flow. The redness is the most warmest part of a hand. Even that is increased. Now this next individual, you can tell it's me by my pudgy hands. So I am at least a functioning human. I have a little bit of blood flow in my fingers, not unlike Frank, right? I mean, you can shake my hand, it's okay. You know, your hand won't freeze. But you can still see, I have a little bit of lack of blood flow to my fingertips. Now, 4 teaspoons of beets, and 2 hours later, look at the tips of my fingers. Look at all that blood flow making its way to the tips of my fingers. That's proving to you that when you consume RediBeets, there's blood flow actually increasing. Okay, you're increasing it to your extremities. Those of you who have cold feet, cold hands at night, my wife has cold feet, she takes RediBeets now. It's to protect me more than anything, right? It's scary. So it's proving this. It's a little bit of proof. It goes a long way when we're talking about supplements. Let's transition, okay? Let's transition to kind of the next rock star that I want to talk about, which is peak endurance. Peak endurance, we talk a lot about electrolytes with peak endurance. And it's a great electrolyte drink. It's got B vitamins, it's good. But the most important ingredient that I don't think we talk enough about is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. The most exciting ingredient in the product. It's energy. That's what ATP is, it's energy. We use energy for everything. We use ATP for everything. You guys said you ate breakfast? You're digesting that right now? That's ATP right now, the reason you're digesting it. I'm using a mountain of ATP right now standing up here, right? The nerves are going through me, I'm up on stage, ATP is just pumping through my veins. You guys are using it while you listen, while you watch. Everything we do takes ATP. But as we age, we lose our ability to make ATP. In 30 years, my ATP levels will drop by 50%. That's scary to me. I mean, that's my personality, is my energy, my charisma, if you want to call it that. To lose 50% of that, that scares me. So I'm going to do everything that I can to prevent that decrease. And we can do it. I'm going to show you how we do it, okay? We have, in our bodies, we have 37.2 trillion cells in our body, okay? Each one of those cells, we have these little organs in each one of these cells. They're called organelles. And they're called, the ones that I want to talk about are called mitochondria. Mitochondria are what actually make ATP in our bodies. We manufacture it every day, over and over and over again. But as we age, we don't do as great of a job. So what happens is, in this mitochondria, we have an ATP engine. It's called ATP synthase. It's an enzyme. So when you put oxygen in, when you're breathing, you put it into the engine, and boom, ATP synthase pushes out ATP. And it's a good engine. It's okay. Sometimes it sputters, sometimes it smokes, sometimes it doesn't get good gas mileage. But it does the job for the most part. And as you can imagine, just like a car, it doesn't do as well as it ages. So how do we fix that? Well, there's a beet fix. We can fix the engine. How do we do that? The nitric oxide that we get from consuming RediBeets can actually take the place of oxygen in the engine. So this is where it translates really well to athletes, and this is where we see it most commonly. So if you're breathing really heavy, you're in the gym, you're running on the treadmill, you're lifting weights, maybe you're walking across the street, whatever it is, and you're breathing really heavily, you're trying to make up for that oxygen loss, right? Your body's trying to make more ATP. The nitric oxide that we make from RediBeets will actually take the place of oxygen in the engine. So let's look at this engine again. You see O2 going in? If we have NO, nitric oxide, it can take the place of O2. It can feed the engine, actually fix the mistakes of O2 and actually make ATP for us. So that's our beet fix. We can actually fix the engine within ourselves. And there's studies that have shown that this is actually the case. So let me look at these bar graphs. Now, this is getting pretty nerdy and pretty, lame right now, but I want you guys to hold tight. We'll make it through, okay? We're almost to the end. So first thing I want you to see is the PO ratio. So that is your body's ability to actually use oxygen. Okay, when you actually consume nitrates from beets, your ability to utilize oxygen and utilize nitric oxide to make ATP actually increases. And you'll see from the other graph, the maximum ATP production actually goes up. So you're actually able to produce more ATP when you consume nitrates from beets. So RediBeets is like this all-around rock star. I mean, it can do everything. I mean, it increases blood flow, increases ATP production. I mean, basically it is, well, I don't want to say this, but it's like a fountain of youth. I mean, it's a way to feel young longer. And that's what I want to feel. The other way to do it is peak endurance. You're actually supplementing ATP through peak endurance. You get 400 milligrams per daily serving of ATP when you consume peak endurance. And yeah, you get a lot of B vitamins, you also get a lot of electrolytes, but by far, ATP is the most important part of this product and why every single one of us should be consuming it daily. How many of you had a snow cone the other day? Right. That's it? It felt like I served like 100, a million of those things. I was there for like 4 hours serving up snow cones. And I had these two options. You had carrots and you had calcium, and there was peak endurance and calcium. Everybody wanted peak endurance. Nobody wanted to try my carrots recipe. Everybody wanted peak endurance. Okay, a few of you did? Okay. Yeah, I don't remember you guys. So that's good. You guys know the value of peak endurance. But we need to get the word out. We need to get the word out more about the ease of getting ATP through the supplementation through peak endurance. Now, I've shown this slide many times, and you should have it in your handouts. You don't have to sketch it down really fast. And if it's not on your handouts, you better sketch it down really fast. So, the ATP found in peak endurance is peak ATP. Now, the company that actually developed this ingredient, and we were really at the beginning forefront of this ingredient, was they spent millions and millions of dollars in clinical research on peak ATP. And you can see all these improvements in blood flow, total strength. And you might say, oh, Phil, I'm not worried about my total strength. I don't go to the gym. You should be concerned. Total strength is huge. It protects your organs, it protects your skeletal system, it improves your metabolism, and you look amazing like me if you have lots of strength, right? So, 147% by just taking peak ATP. That's all they did, and they increased. Now, you might not be thrilled about vertical jump power, and I can understand that, but maybe you are. Maybe you're worried about that. Maybe you're an athlete and you want to be able to jump really high. These are some really amazing things found in clinical research to get from taking peak ATP found in peak endurance. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Do you remember Frank's scary hands? Okay, so proof is in the pudding, right? So I want to go through this adventure with you guys. So how many of you would actually like to have your hands actually take photos with thermal image and then consume some beets and then see if you see an increase in heat signature. Is anybody interested in that? Everybody interested in that, I need you to stand up, okay? How are you not all standing? That just amazes me. How are you not interested to know? Okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep standing. You guys gotta stand, okay? I can only do it for 10 of you, okay? So it's gonna be really hard to choose, right? So I'm gonna weed you out a little bit right now, okay? So the first thing is, I want only adults, so I can't measure any children, sorry. Now, everybody keep standing. Now, I won't shame you, okay, but, anyone that has taken Peak Endurance or RediBeets in the last 2 days has to sit down. Okay. Somebody forgot to take their product. Oh, I just forgot. Okay, so, all right, we weeded it down a little bit. Now, again, I won't shame you. I might. If you used mouthwash this morning, I need you to sit down. Mouthwash kills those good bacteria on the back of our tongue that can convert nitrates to nitrites. Okay, there's still a few left. Also, next one, anyone that has to take any kind of acid reflux medication, anything of that nature, I need you to sit down as well. Okay, all right, those of you left, there's still a good number of you, okay. Now, Melinda's gonna come up and she's gonna release you guys here in a few minutes. Oh, I'm done, okay, I have to get off stage. So, when Melinda comes up and dismisses you, of the people standing, there is a sign-up sheet at the hospitality desk. The first 10 people to sign up get to take part in this little study, and you get to see the thermal images taken out of their hands. Everybody can take part and look and see, but you actually get to consume the RediBeets and get scary photos taken of your hands, okay? So the first 10 people to sign up. All right, I look forward to seeing you guys out there. Everybody can sit back down, and you know what? Thanks everybody for your time, and we'll see you out there. I wanted to give you guys a quick overview of some of the things that we did with the thermal imaging and go back to kind of the proof behind what we showed. So this is Vonna. So she was one of our volunteers. This is actually her left hand. So you can see the start image. You can tell that her fingertips are definitely cold. You can see hour 2, it was about the same, maybe even a little bit colder. And then by hour 4, you can see the heat change in her fingertips. That's that vasodilation that we talked about. Yay, good job, Vonna. So one of the things I want to point out here is in some people, the conversion process can take a little bit longer. So you can see with Vonna that it took her 4 hours to really see some improved circulation in her fingertips. That could be due to many factors. We're all a little bit different, but the bacteria on the back of her tongue could be a little bit different, maybe a fewer bacteria. Stomach acids could be a little bit lower than what they need to be or a little bit too high, just depending on what it needs to convert that nitrite to nitrates. Okay, this is Alex, okay? Alex is a pretty young guy. By the end, he was smoking hot, okay? That's right, yep. So pretty impressive. The greens are gonna be cooler than the yellows, so you can tell even in hour 2, blood flow is definitely increasing. This is 4 teaspoons of RediBeets. This is Tim. I don't know if you've got to meet Tim. Tim is, he's about my age. He's a muscular guy like me. Now, he's pretty buff, okay? I would like to be like Tim one day. So, you can see that in hour 2, he's already seen an increase. Now, what happened was in hour 4, Tim came up to get his image taken, and he said, well, I just washed my hands in like cool water. And so he was waiting for me to take another image and wait a few minutes, and I got kind of bombarded with questions, and it didn't happen. But that's what it looked like at 4 hours. So let's kind of keep things. This is Liz. This is Tim's wife. Again, smoking hot, Liz. Nice job. So you can see a lot of people, they have poor circulation in their fingers, okay? And as we go, I'm gonna go through every ones that we're able to get all 3 images of, so everyone you'll be able to see. Feel free to take photos of these while you guys are looking at them with your phones. So this is Sarah Ann. So you can see Sarah Ann's, she did not see like a huge improvement in her fingers in the amount of blood flow that went through. And Sarah is one of the few people that saw very little increase in blood flow to her fingers. But this is an experiment, right? Every individual is different. We're not gonna see the exact same results with every person. Could take a little bit more consistency with RediBeets at the 4 teaspoon dosage. We've got Hector here. Hector looks like X-Men. He looks like some kind of superhero in those images with the coloring, but you can see, look at the blood flow change from the start to hour 2, then into hour 4, all that blood flow into his fingertips, getting into those little places it needs to go. I'm gonna kind of breeze through these last ones really quick. This is Gina. Those purple colors, her fingertips are the same color as the granite out there at the registration desk. That's how cold her fingertips were when we first started. And they got warmer. We actually put a notepad under her hand to do the next 2 photos to try to see a bigger difference in her fingers. And you can tell they did get warmer. And if you see Gina, I encourage you to go talk to her, and she'll have a good story for you to tell you if she's willing to share. And finally, this is, or this might be my last one. This is Sarah. So you can see Sarah's hand. She's getting there. Her hands by hour 4. She again a little bit slower in the transition process of getting that circulation to her fingertips, but within 4 hours that conversion process had happened. So really impressive, really exciting. What do you guys think? Was that a fun experiment? I had a blast with it. I think it's fun, and it's really a neat way to prove that the products are actually working in real time with real people. So I love it.